Greetings.
Hello, Internet.
We have made it to episode 24, the end of 2024, ironically.
That's right. Oddly
How
enough, I am getting my lighting situation sorted currently. Sorry about that.
you spent this whole time sitting there.
Listen, I am an idiot and I forgot. So I don't know what to tell you. Okay, it fell down like yesterday and I thought it would still be up there and it just wasn't.
Oh, I guess it was a low light then. Speaking of low lights and highlights, we're going to talk about what happened this year. I appreciate the
Ooh,
segue,
good
Patty Rick.
transition.
Yeah.
Good transition.
I had to pull that. You threw it on the ground. I had to pick it back up.
Ugh.
Yeah, another
Fair.
year's behind us. New bikes, good bikes, some not so good
Not
bikes.
so good bikes.
All around. So we're just going to kind of dive in, talk about maybe a few of those. If any of you guys in the chat had some bikes that really stood out this year for good or for bad, drop it in the chat. Let us know, and maybe we can take some time and chat about that one as well. But Patty, Rick, and I, we've got a few topics here that we're just going to kind of run through, and we're just going to dive right into it and talk about what we liked and maybe what we didn't like about this year in motorcycling.
Sounds like a plan. And I have a new dog. So I now have 2 puppy dogs running around my house right now. And the one of them gets spooked by every little noise that she hears. So she tends to bark and run around for a second. So if you see me looking away, I'm down at the dogs. So sorry about that.
Well, I think everybody's kind of used to that with your kind of ADHD anyway, right? So
You would be correct, sir.
he'll be like, yeah, this motorcycle that.
Of course, you look away and the dog barks. I love that.
Awesome.
Hey, chill.
Control Alt owned in the chat said totally looking forward to the CF Moto 675 SS. Yes, that is in route.
You know what? Like the fact that I was one of the first people on the internet to ride and get a video out on that bike is wild to me. It's got well over 100,000 views now. It's crazy. I was like,
nice.
"What shit?" Yeah, we were like the first by almost 2 weeks.
I got to see one in person. There was a CF Moto demo day up the road.
Oh, that's right.
I think they probably had the 1 or 2 that's in the United States or whatever.
There's one that's totally stock and one that has all their accessories on it. They're both white.
I don't know if this was the stock one, but I gotta say, it's pretty sharp looking.
Hold on just a second. Is there someone in my backyard right now? One moment.
Take the camera with you. We'll be your security. Okay, this is really odd. Patty just up and leaving. If he doesn't come back, I guess we'll have to call the cops or something because he got maybe something bad happened. Any of y'all watch Nate Bargatze and his comedy? He talked about how he found out that his wife was selling stuff on Facebook Marketplace because a stranger showed up at his door. And he was like, best case scenario, we make $5 off of this kid's chair. Worst case scenario, we all get murdered. So, you all right, buddy?
Yeah, the neighbor kids came into the backyard to get a ball they put over the fence on accident.
Ah.
Fine.
Okay.
Ellie just doesn't know the neighbors yet.
Yes. Fair enough. Hey, she's doing her job, right? Just hey, stranger danger.
Chill out. Dogs, stop. Hey.
Oh, he muted himself now. Okay. Well, when he's done yelling at the dogs, we're going to dive into some of these topics here. So, but I don't want to start without him. No, we got to have you, buddy. That's the whole point. Is we discuss. He's still on mute, so I can say whatever I want to about him. Dooley is in the chat with his Wii.
That's weird, Dooley. Put that Wii away. That's not cool.
We don't want the Dooley Weeb in there. No. All right, let's dive into this, Patty Rick. So we're going to start off with the big thing. What were the best or most impressive new bikes of 2024.
Ooh,
I've got 3 on my list for a couple different
I have
reasons.
3, maybe 4. We'll see.
Okay, you kick us off with one.
Okay. Then I'll go with kind of my number one for this year's got to be that 2024 Africa Twin.
Okay.
They did a really, really good job, Honda did, of taking a platform that is proven, tried and true. They've got that 1100 engine that's in really, really good shape, that makes plenty of power, gets pretty good fuel economy, and then they put a bunch of really neat tech along with it this year, upgraded the TFT displays and stuff. So really happy with how that bike turned out, and I got to spend a lot of time on it this year, and really, really enjoyed it.
Nice. Yeah,
Yeah.
that seems to still kind of be always on the podium of adventure bikes as well.
Yeah, I think
So,
historically the Africa Twin, I don't think has ever really won like the best of adventure bikes. There are, I'm sure, better adventure bikes out there,
sure.
but I don't know if there's a better one from such a that's is reliable. It's from, I mean, it's Honda.
It's Honda.
I mean, yeah, I mean, people like the BMWs more, people like the Triumphs more, but I think Honda actually builds the best one currently.
Awesome.
I'll put
Well,
an asterisk and currently on the end of that.
well, speaking of that, one I've got on my list, the Honda Transalp.
There
So
you
it's had
go.
its 1 full year here, being out there. I've seen a few around my area going by,
Yeah, I've seen a couple in like the Roswell, Woodstock area.
and it's very much a Honda in that nothing particular stands out to say that's totally awesome, but it's just a darn good Honda, and it just
Yeah, it's like the old KLRs. It's like it doesn't do anything perfect or that much better than anyone else, but it just does everything well.
right, which is why I like my Versus. Little plug,
Yep.
but that's not on any of my lists. I excluded that because
Oddly enough, the Super T is not on my list either.
yes, we're trying
It's
to be
wild.
unbiased here.
Yes.
But yeah, I think the Honda, it's one of those that whenever I have my wishful thinking of, well, gosh, if I got an adventure bike, that's always on my radar there. So anyway, so I think Honda's done some good things in 2024, clearly, because
They certainly have. We both have a Honda in our top 3.
which, by the way, I mean, we were talking about before the show started the kind of the format, but we have not shared these
No,
bikes with these
we've
other
not
yet.
shared our lists at all. So I guess my second bike then is actually going to be the Suzuki GSX 8R.
Okay.
I think that is a fantastic engine. It's a great platform. Finally, Suzuki builds a really, really good middleweight sporty bike. It's a great parallel twin. And it's selling like hotcakes, and the aftermarket support is already there. So I think when it comes to a segment of bikes that I probably wouldn't buy, and that's nothing to do with the bike, more with the segment.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care about sporty style bikes. My back hurts just thinking about it, let alone a super sport. But like, that GX8er is such a good bike. Sounds fantastic. Seems to be good.
What about the 8S then? Because that was new for 24, right?
Yeah,
Would you prefer that one? You personally, would you prefer the naked over the sport?
I'm not buying either of them.
Sure.
But I prefer the R to the S just from looks. Because if I'm not going to buy either of them, I'm going to go on looks, and I like the look of the 8 better. Or the R, rather.
Fair enough. I've always liked the look of sport bikes ever since I played Road Rash back in the day. Yeah.
Yeah.
Road
Rash whipping chains at each other. I remember that. That's a
Officer
terrible
O'Leary.
game.
It was so bad.
Oh,
Do not try this.
no.
Okay, well, I'll kind of stay, ironically, in a little bit of the sport bike, not super sporty, but
Sure.
the new Kawasaki Ninja 500 and also Z500.
Sure.
I think that was a good move for Kawasaki, just because they were able to enhance that engine, the heart of it, by just upping it to technically 451. But that's another discussion.
I was like, listen, it's a Ninja 450. Let's all be honest.
But it's an engine that's their new standard parallel twin that they're doing a lot of things in. So it's kind of their new workhorse. So there's going to be a lot of support behind that. And it's another new kind of flashy option that can appeal to beginners that will hopefully encourage more riders to join and
absolutely
continue to promote motorcycling. So that's
a great price point. I mean, that's kind of my thing about the GX8er is it's finally like Suzuki is bringing something to really fight in that middleweight class, the MT-07 crowd, the R7, something that can actually bring the heat in that segment. Yeah, the Ninja 500, the 451. Let's call it what it is.
And I think because it uses pretty much the same frame, that a lot of the parts, even aftermarket stuff that fit the Ninja 400 carries over to the 500 too. So
yeah, I think like the handle, but like levers, handlebars.
Yeah.
I think even some of the windshields could carry over.
Yeah.
Then I guess the last one for me, I'm kind of split decision on this one. It's really between the 2024 Tenere 700. It's not an all-new bike, but it is updated. It has the new display on it. It has the new changing modes, and it is the last that has a cable throttle. The 25 model gets rid of the cable throttle.
Okay.
So I don't know if the T7 really belongs as like new for 24 because it really didn't get that big a deal. In that case, it's the Ibex 450. That Ibex 450 is really from CF Moto. They've done a great job with that bike. I got to ride it at the CF Moto event earlier this year. Had a really good time with it. It even wheelies with my fat ass on it, which is interesting. And like got to slide it around a little bit of gravel, and like it's a very off-road. It's a very raw feeling machine, which I really enjoy in an off-road bike. So I think that's definitely number 3 for me. Since the T7 didn't really get that much of an update for 24.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. We'll keep the T7 off there. That's when we curate this list post production, which we don't really do.
Yeah. I was like, since when do we do that?
Yeah, right. Well, rounding out my list, I thought I'd throw it on there. The Triumph Speed 400. So it's kind of another one of those low price entry beginner bikes that's, it's made in India, but I rode that thing back in April and I was like, for a 400 single, it packs a little bit of a punch. And again, maybe a way to bring other riders in.
I'm going to like really, really disagree with you there.
Okay.
I think it's a really cool bike. It's going to bring a lot of new riders into the Triumph brand and ecosystem, which is fantastic for them. Really smart decision for them to bring out 2 variants of basically the same bike. For me, though, that bike feels very cheap. It feels very, very small. And there's another bike that's on a list later that we'll talk about. It's also not on this list for a good reason, but it is on this list, and I actually prefer that bike significantly more than the Triumph.
Okay. But
and we'll talk
in fairness, don't all bikes kind of feel small to you?
Okay, true. But like
Got it.
That's true, but like this one felt like a toy. Like a Grom doesn't feel like a real motorcycle to me. It feels like a toy.
Right. Sure.
And like a Navi obviously feels like a toy. The Triumph 400s feel like a toy to me.
Interesting.
Like they don't.
Because I kind of had the opposite. Like
really.
I thought it was like it feels like a it's not huge.
Yeah.
But I thought it was like, okay, it's a quote real bike. So interesting.
Sure. Oh well, okay.
Different
takes,
I mean,
that's definitely one way to think about it.
Now I don't think it's up to the maybe quality standard as the once you get to your speed triples and all because of but it was made to a price point as an entry bike.
Understandable. Totally understandable.
To get people into the Triumph family so that they'll then buy the bigger ones later on. So.
Yeah. No, I get it.
Yeah.
Cool. So what's the next category?
So let's look at the most anticipated bikes of 2025.
Okay.
And so I'll kick this one off, which is we may have a little technicality here because I picked something that is kind of out there, but not. And I said the Ibex 450.
Okay, fair. I knew
known as the 450 MT internationally, because I think it is technically a 2025 model year, but I put it on this one because, it's either got delayed or it was so late in the year when it got here that it's pretty much.
Yeah, I think it was very. I think I've seen 2 in the wild so far.
Okay, I haven't seen any in like showrooms or anything. So
Yeah, I haven't seen them in showrooms, but I've seen 2 in the wild. So
okay. Yeah, well, I mean, for the same reason you said it was the best new bike, there's a lot of anticipation behind it. That
mhm.
CF Moto 450 engine is putting in a lot of work, and the SS, the NK, and now the Ibex,
And the
um,
CL.
the CL, which so I
We'll
think
talk
it's
about that
going
bike
to.
later.
So I think, again, there's still a lot of people that probably still have kind of that CF Moto hesitation of how's it going to last year to year and things like that. But so far they've been doing well. So I think
Mhm.
it's one that's going to do well in 2025.
I think so as well. For me, um, I guess we'll stay with the CF Moto brand. Is that 675?
Mm-hmm.
Got a chance to ride that
So
thing this
sharp
year.
looking.
So good looking. Really, really fun bike. Makes good noises. Even for as big and fat as I am, it was still a lot of fun. So, um, really enjoyed that bike, and I do love the kind of the power delivery that you get with a triple. So
Mm-hmm.
can't really argue with that.
Next up, I've got, which is kind of with a little enhancement, the Yamaha MT-09 with the Yamaha automated manual transmission.
Oh, okay, yeah. They're new AMT.
I'm interested in that because I want to see how well it does, how it's received.
Sure.
I think it's a great option to have.
Mhm.
Having more options is always a good thing. Um, I would love to be able to hop on one of those things at some point and just see how it feels with kind of the paddle shifting and whatever. Because don't they use those in racing now?
I
Or
mean, they have, and then they didn't, and then they did, and then they didn't. It really just depends.
yeah.
Very much series to series.
Mm-hmm.
But there was a time when they had like an air shifter on the bike so that you could like have your left leg out for a turn and be pushing a button to still be downshifting.
Right.
So
Because,
like,
when you push a button to shift, I mean, the electronics are going to do it faster than your foot can up
yeah.
and down. So it's really like a racing advantage. That's what the paddle shifters and all are for. So
Mhm.
I'm interested to see that. I hope I get an opportunity if Yamaha has a demo route around here. If that bike would be in the lineup, I would definitely want to check that one out.
Yeah, I mean between the AMT and then like Honda's DCTs, like the era of semi-automatic or automatic transmission bikes is coming.
Mm-hmm.
So it's interesting to see. I've got 2 more bikes on my best upcoming thing. One of them, obviously, the R9. I
Yeah.
mean, that's huge. It's impossible to not talk about. The whole internet is ablaze with everything going on with the R9. Some people love the look, some people hate it. I think it's going to be really, really cool and a really fun bike. Do I think it is a replacement for an R6? But it certainly fills a gap that is there that people I think are going to really appreciate when they get on it.
Yeah.
And
Fair.
then, do you
I
have
don't.
another upcoming
I
bike?
I do have another one, and this one there's not as much detail. It was more of a teaser from EICMA. Uh, but
Okay.
I'm going to say what I think it is, or the designation, the Kawasaki KLE 500, which I'm thinking maybe like a Versus 500X. So they said KLE, which is the kind of the actual designation of the Versus 650. It's like a KLE 650.
Okay.
And they had one back in the day that was kind of more dual sport. So I think it was
Okay.
ahead or beside the KLR or something like that. But I feel like they're going to take their 451 parallel twin engine
Hmm.
and maybe give the Versus 300X a facelift and make it actually more off road. Maybe in response to the Ibex 450 or something like that.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
Um,
The Ibex 450, the Hemi 450. Like, there's so many bikes in that class right now that.
it's amazing. Kind of tangent here. We've seen kind of the spectrum of bikes go from big CC horsepower America engines to
Mm-hmm.
people kind of going back to the mid range, the 600 to 900s. And now we've got these adventure bikes that were kind of on the upper end where you had your 1200, 1250 GS. Now you've got 450s and whatever.
Yeah.
It's
I think
kind of
the adventure
it's
category is definitely diverted in recent years between like the guys that want to cross country tour and do some off road with your giant adventure bikes, and the guys who want to do hardcore off road but they don't want to have a dirt bike.
right. And you don't want the weight of a GS.
Yeah, you don't want the weight of a GS, but you don't want the shitty, uncomfortable ride of like a KLX 450 or a DRZ 400,
Oh,
something like that. So my last upcoming bike I'm super stoked about. I actually just got back from this press launch. And this video will come out hopefully by the end of the year. Maybe it might be an early next year deal.
ooh,
But
we get a little teaser, y'all.
the Triumph Speed Twin, the new 1200.
Okay.
Oh, it's a fantastic fucking bike. Normally, I go to these press launches and like most times I come home like, man, that'd be a cool bike to own. But I'm home and like, Triumph, when can I buy? Like, gimme, give it to me. Give it to me right the fuck now. Like, I want that bike so bad. It's so good. It's comfortable. It's fun to ride. I make it look tiny. I'm too big for it. It's okay. It's still a lot of fun.
Oh, these are toy bikes. So what I'm hearing you saying is we need to be calling up Dutch and say for DGR. Okay.
It's cool. I've already figured that out.
Nice. For y'all in the chat, are there any bikes y'all are looking forward to?
Yeah,
Go ahead
we've
and
got
drop that in there
Yento,
if we haven't touched
DCT MT09. Some people talk about the R9.
Which DCT and the Yamaha thing are two separate technology things. But
yeah, but I think he means the AMT.
But it's the Yamped.
Yeah, the Yamped.
Get the Yamped stamp on the.
And he also wants a speed twin. Yeah, dude, Andy, they're it's really really fucking good. And then we were in Spain. It was beautiful. Bunch of my video clips got corrupted. It was good. It was fun. It was good time. They lost my luggage. It's a whole thing. Yeah, it was kind of a like really great bike. Really not a great trip, but a really great bike.
If you ever lose your luggage, don't take the airline to court because you've already lost your case.
Chat, boo this man. Boo this man. That's terrible. That's terrible. Chat, boo this man whenever you catch up. Let's see. We'll give him a little bit because I know there's always a significant delay.
Yeah, Goonie is always. I always wonder what the flavor of the week is for him because he's always talking about what his next bike is going to be.
All fun till you break your toe on a donkey. Dooley, you bastard. Fucking
Wait a minute.
Poor Dutch.
Break your toe on a donkey?
Yeah, so I don't know if I can talk about this. I'm gonna. Sorry, Eric.
I love that. I don't know if I can, but I'm just going to.
So I don't know what exactly happened, but Dutch crashed one of the bikes. I don't know if he high-sided or I think he high-sided, and he fell 15 feet off like the edge of the road, landed on a donkey, and broke his big toe, like clean break. And we're not sure if the donkey stepped on it or if he broke it when he went over the bike.
So did he almost break his foot off in someone's ass?
Oh my god. Literally yes. Literally yes. Oh my god. Yeah, but like we were riding and we got like a call over the radios.
Oh yeah.
Go ahead, finish your thought.
We got a call over the radio that's like, hey, there's oil all over the road ahead. Please be careful. Someone's there to like make sure you don't hit it. And we were like, cool, whatever, not a big deal. My immediate thought, somebody crashed. Didn't think it was Dutch. But Dutch like totaled the bike. Like it's done. But again, glad he was not more seriously injured. But yeah, he like hit like to the edge of the roads there in Spain. There's like a foot or 18-inch tall or so, like stone block basically on a
Yeah,
lot of the
yeah.
edge of these roads. So I don't know what happened, but he hit it. And the bike stayed on the road, but he went over and fell 15 feet onto a donkey. He got some really great photos, like sitting there, like beautiful view, couple of donkeys in front of him, like
Broken
having a
toe.
good time in Mallorca, Spain. You'll love to see it.
Nice.
Yeah, I guess Control owned member for 21 months.
Yes.
My wife asked me why there was a blanket on top of me and my laptop. I told her I work undercover. Boo this man.
No.
Boo this man.
No, that is so good. He used his membership chat for a dad joke.
You love to see
My
it.
man.
Berto Ramirez RS. I did also ride the RS. I really enjoyed that bike, but I prefer the seating position on the standard model. It's not super different, but it is a little different, and it's little enough where, like, I rode the RS in the morning, like the first half of the day, and then got onto the standard model in the afternoon, and immediately felt more comfortable. And like was able to push. Honestly, like the componentry on the RS is much better, but I was able to push the standard model a lot harder because I was instantly, like body position wise, just more comfortable on that bike. But you'll have to wait for the video to get the rest of my opinions on that. Okay, so best new bike news.
Okay, I'll kick this one off.
Yeah.
And this may even bleed over into a bike model, but Honda's E-Clutch. That is, you know, and it's not a quick shifter.
I thought you and I would have the same thing here, and we absolutely do.
Okay. You know, I mean, it is a quick shifter, but not in the traditional quick shifter sense.
Yep.
But I think that's a cool feature because it is something that use it if you want it. And if you don't want to, you don't have to.
Yeah, the bike ride's totally normal. Like, otherwise, you'd never know a difference.
Yeah. So I really want to try one of those out too. Like, I'm so interested in kind of this new transmission technology because I want to see how it handles and all that stuff. And as someone who commutes to work on a bike in Atlanta with traffic and cars and too many people, where's my Infinity Gauntlet? I need to.
Right.
You know, there are some days.
Thanos was not the bad guy. I'm just saying.
Although, if he had the Infinity Gauntlet, why didn't he just double the resources instead of killing half the... Anyway.
Listen, you're making sense, and that's not allowed. Pretty sure that's illegal.
Anyway. Okay, we're not going to go comic nerd out, but there are times when I've gotten to work and, like, my left hand from just that clutch and then holding it in is just like, I should have brought the ruckus. Although I would have gotten run over at that point.
Yeah, really. You would have been supposed to.
Because traffic in Atlanta is either 2 miles an hour or 93. Yes. So it'll be interesting to see where this technology goes with Honda. They've got it on their 650 line right now, the CBR 650R and the CB 650R, which are 4-cylinder bikes. But I would imagine the way that technology is, it's, for lack of a better term, bolt on. They could just add it to any bike, it seems.
Yeah, basically. The development was done with the 650 for specifically because that engine does produce a good amount of torque and a good bit of horsepower. And it revs very quickly. So they wanted to be sure that the system would work properly. So I mean, it's one of those things where it's going to be great for people who are new riders who are just entering the sport for the first time. It's going to be great for people who have maybe been riders for a really long time and they have an injury or they just don't want to deal with traffic, you know, clutch in traffic and all this stuff. And as that technology trickles down to the I don't want to call it the entry level, but the lower CC machines, it's going to make the barrier for entry so much easier. Super excited because you don't have to buy a DCT or a scooter or something like that to learn to ride and then learn how to shift on the next bike you buy. You can do it all on the one bike.
Right.
Which is great. So
absolutely. Yeah, I do agree. I mean, and that with the other kind of automated manual transmissions, as they call it, with Yamaha, KTM has got a version of that. BMW is coming out with a version of that.
Yep.
Kawasaki has it on their hybrids, which I totally get because they need to nuance that clutch engagement because of the interaction of the combustion engine and
Yeah.
electric motor. But
And what a lot of people don't know is about hybrid cars is the hybrid motors are all built into the transmissions. So unless you have a car that is specifically like hybrid, like electric on one axle and gas powered on the other, like the NSX, for example, just the first one of those cars that popped into my brain. But like the Prius, the electric drive, and the Toyota products, the electric drive is built into that transmission. So it makes sense.
I don't think I knew that. But it kind of makes sense because it's just there.
Yeah, it's just driving the flywheel when the ICE isn't. Yeah.
Makes sense.
So we definitely agree on best new bike news that isn't necessarily a particular model is that e-clutch.
And that's why the CBR 650R was on the thumbnail.
Oh, yeah, fair enough. I didn't see the thumbnail. Favorite trip that you did this year? I know you did quite a few this year. I did a lot this year as well.
Yeah, I had a couple. Probably my favorite one, just because of just the destination and what was for it, was when a few of the Smart Core, we went to the Total Eclipse.
Yeah, I figured you were gonna say that.
That was a neat trip because we journeyed up through Tennessee.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, got interrupted here. Hobbit of Chaos, member for 14 months. 4 months left on my truck payment, $2,800 left. Also, best bike of 24 definitely has to be either. You have to read the chat. It definitely has to be the Dick for hashtag unpaid intern, hashtag chaotic effer, hashtag get Hobbit a bike. I'm not going to ask what it is because I know what it is. So
yep. Oh, Dooley said Austria for the Continental Press ride. That was a really cool trip. Super stoked he got to go do that. But what's your favorite trip? You said, right, the Eclipse.
Oh yeah, so there was some cool things with that. So the Eclipse was on a Monday, so we left from Georgia on Sunday, got through Tennessee, and actually stayed overnight in Kentucky. Went to Illinois on purpose.
Old Illinois is.
For the Eclipse, and we were actually in a spot where there was like hardly anybody else, and I was like so weird because I was like, these eclipses that only come once every so often, draw big crowds in the path of totality, and so it was kind of very clear. But on the way up there, we used 2 ferries, so we crossed a small river on Sunday on just this little. And then on Monday, as we're going into Illinois from Kentucky, we crossed the Ohio River on a ferry.
Oh, cool.
And there was like an 18-wheeler right beside of us. And, so they just pull them on.
Wild.
Yeah. So it was kind of weird being like, is this safe? But it's just.
Like, that's how it's been done forever.
Yeah. So that was kind of a cool experience. And then after the Eclipse was over, everybody was leaving at the exact same time, and it was a bit of a grind home.
Yeah, I'm sure. That's kind of one of the reasons that if I would have to like stay an extra day or so just to be sure that I
let it thin out.
Yes, yeah.
It was, of course, traffic. There was a storm, a real bad storm that we had just missed. Like we came through there, and there was like hailstones and whatever all over the road, and we're like, oh, we just missed this. And
Dang.
Bo almost died. And so,
well, I mean, that's an average ride with Bo. That checks out.
We were riding at night, and he did not have a clear visor.
I also did that. If anybody saw my Moto Guzzi video this year.
So that helmet I got that's got the red light on the back.
Mm-hmm.
He had to follow me, and my helmet was his guiding light. And then I had to tell him, I just got a low battery notification. Son of a...
Oh, God. That's hilarious.
But then I also have to throw in SmartCon.
Yep.
That's always good. We have a good time with that.
Yeah. I think for me, it was probably my favorite trip of the year was the Honda Africa Twin, like the West Coast. The West Coast trip I did earlier in the year. Super cool, like bucket list, get to go see the Redwoods and
you did that with Dork on the Road, right?
I did that with Dork on the Road. Amanda from As the Magpie Flies, her video is coming out soon. I was just talking to her the other day. And then a bunch of the folks from Honda got to hang out with just some really, really cool people. Some of the Johnny Campbell, like multi-time Baja champion Johnny Campbell, absolute fucking legend. Ricky Brabeck, some really, really cool, ultra talented people. So really, that was a fantastic trip for me. Absolute bucket list, and it was very intimate. A lot of press launches are like 30 or 40 press people. Sometimes it's like small as like 15 or 20, but like generally a lot of press people, and then you're in like 4 or 5 groups, and it's a 1-day ordeal. This was me, Amanda, and Ben,
Dork.
and Dork, and like 3 or 4 Honda people for 4 days straight.
That's cool.
Like super cool. Got to do that as a group. Really a unique event. I think they've talked about wanting to do more of them, but it was a first kind of style event for them.
Sure.
And then the next group, we went from Seattle to Eureka, California. So we went through all of Washington, all of Oregon, and then into Northern California. And then another group of influencers and people picked up our bikes in Eureka and went all the way down to Southern California with them, which is super cool. Kind of like I don't know how to phrase this, like a second best or like an honorable mention for me is going to be the Spain trip to Barcelona with Royal Enfield for the Gorilla 450. Super cool. First international press launch for the channel. Got to stay an extra 4 days afterwards with my wife. We got to just vacation in Barcelona for basically a week.
Nice.
Like super cool, really once in a lifetime trip for us, which was great. 3 years later was basically our honeymoon because we never got around to taking a honeymoon after we got married.
Oh no.
So yeah.
So you had your honeymoon and a new house this year for you.
Yeah, and a new dog as of like last week. Yeah, it's been a crazy year.
Is there any other news you need to share with us at this time?
No. No. Chase had a kid. I don't keep the crotch goblins to yourself. I want nothing to do with them.
How soon do you think we can get Leo on the ruckus?
I don't know, but Paige and I are actively saving for a dirt bike. I'm getting him on a dirt bike as soon as he's walking.
Uncle Pat?
Yep, kid doesn't have a chance. If I had both my knees replaced before high school, so is he. And then, yeah, a really cool trip I got to take with Julie was to Small Bore Festival over at Barber. RIP. Not ever going to happen again, which is disappointing, but we are the eternal Grand Prix champions.
Grand Prix, I love it.
Yep, that's what they called it. I was actually wearing that t-shirt yesterday. We're the Grand Prix champion. Julie, do you still have that trophy? I think you do. I'm pretty sure Duels has the trophy. So super stoked on that. So what, I guess I'll transition back to you. What was your favorite video of whether yours or one of the Chase OnTwoWheels videos or just a video you've seen on the internet?
Yeah, I just have to say, because it was recent and on my mind, was the recent video that came out that y'all shot probably months ago when it was you chasing Mark just out adventuring on the...
Oh, the one that came out this morning?
No, the one before that.
Oh, that was shot...
And you're going across the suspension bridge and...
Oh, yeah.
I don't know, just something about that video.
That was probably September. Yeah.
Yeah, but that video was just funny and entertaining. The memes. Yeah. I don't know. I got a kick out of that one.
Dude, honestly, like, that's the videos that he does have Eddie as the champagne bottle. Fuck yeah, Dooley. But those are the videos that I really love doing because it's more of like a casual, we just go out and have fun and we record a bunch of shenanigans that happens.
Yeah.
Which are the videos that I like, one, filming, and then two, they're so much fun after the fact. I do really, really like those. See you, Andy.
Bye, Goonie.
Bye, Goon.
Tell Jude we said hey.
That's right. My favorite video was honestly the 900, I think the title, 900 Mile Adventure on the 2024 Africa Twin.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's such a cool video for me. Like, very epic. Really got to have a good time making that. Second best video for me is probably the Moto Guzzi one because I almost died and I crashed a motorcycle on camera, which is just entertaining.
Yeah, you know what? But you just kind of got up and was like, "Oops,"
Fuck.
you know. And you just own it. You just own it and move on because
Yeah.
we all have those moments. So
Yeah, I just was like so mad at myself. I've not had an on-road accident since 2016, and then of course it's someone else's bike
on a video for the
on
channel.
video. Yeah, like literally on the
Whoops.
other side of the country in the middle of nowhere, 30 miles outside of anything.
It's like, I mean, you see some of these videos and on shorts, like, brand new bike. It wasn't quite that soon, but
but it was close.
You were just kind of out the gate, man.
Dude, it was. I've analyzed that video over and over and over again. I've thought about it. I've argued with people in the comments about it. And like there was just gravel in that lane, and by the time I saw it, I was like already on a trajectory to cross its path, and I was fucked. And there's I don't care how good of a rider you are, who you are, when you're leaned over, coming into a turn while slowing down, not jamming the brakes, wasn't crossed up, any of that fucking bullshit that the internet loves being like, oh, well, you're using the wrong,
Pat,
whatever.
Everybody else is an expert.
Yeah,
and they know the situation more than you who were actually there.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where it's like, it's weird. I was there, and I've been riding motorcycles for nearly 30 fucking years. I do, in fact, know what I'm doing.
Yes.
Contrary to popular belief.
CJ Pilot said, that was brave to keep going. I would call it quits.
Dude, it was. I thought about it.
Well, I mean,
the thought crossed my mind.
I mean, it was added. That thought was added because this is someone else's bike, and you've got the weight of I've just messed up someone else's bike. If it was your bike, you're like, it's got a few more scratches.
Yeah, fucking whatever. Let's go, brother.
Yeah,
yours are for pussies. Like, if it was the Super T, it probably wouldn't have noticed.
This show's never going to make any money.
Yeah. If it was the Super T or like my dad's Harley, whatever, would have kept going, wouldn't even thought about it, wouldn't have skipped a beat. It might not have even made it in the video. Who knows? But like the fact that it was someone else's bike, and it is a press bike, and it had miles, it had been dropped a couple of times before I got it. But like not nearly anything like that. So the fact that that Shane and the whole crew over there at Moto Guzzi and Piaggio group like were super cool. OP Performance or OP Motorsports. I can't remember if it's Performance or Motorsports.
Is that the dealer there?
The dealer there. Super cool guys up there. Got me hooked up really quick. I've got a nifty little. I don't even want to call it a scar, but just you could still see the little patch, but all the hair is growing back now, and like fractured elbow on that side, and like other than that, not a big deal. Never even hit my head on the ground, so like just kept on trucking.
I mean, you had your gear on too, though, right?
Yep, had all my gear, all the time. The comment section is tearing apart that Sedici jacket, but I'm like, listen, it held up really well for what it is,
right?
Which is a $250 jacket, and like, I landed not on the part that like it's not that I landed on the elbow where the abrasion resistance was, and then it rotated. I landed on my on my forearm.
Where there's less material.
Where there's less material. It's a stretch material. Like the seam didn't come apart. It is mesh. Well, it's like a hydrophobic mesh. It is.
Yeah.
It's waterproof. It is waterproof. I've been in torrential downpours with that jacket. Go see the Honda Africa Twin video. But like the stitching didn't tear. It's the material itself tore because I was sliding on gravel at 35 miles an hour. With all of my body weight on my arm because I landed on my arm weird.
Oh yeah, that force is just going to wear down.
You're getting like no matter what, you're getting through it. And I ended up blowing the ass out of my jeans I was wearing. I didn't notice till 2 days later.
And ironically, that happened before he got on the bike. But that's a different story.
But that video was super cool. A lot of fun to film. But yeah, I mean, there's nothing you could do hitting gravel in a shady spot in that situation. I've analyzed it over and over and over and over and over again.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what would I have done differently? And I'm like, nothing.
That's like it just was one of those things.
I wasn't going that fast. There was no leaves in that area. I just made the comment to look out for leaves. So I looked into that corner. I was like, cool, there's no leaves. I was looking through to the next corner because that's what you do. and just it is what it is. By the time I saw it, splat. Oh well.
Yeah, it happens. It even happened to our buddy Yanto earlier this year.
Yeah, Yanto got pretty good. I'm glad he's making his recovery and he's doing all right.
He's talking about rehabbing and get ready for SportCon 25. So,
dude, it's.
But that's one of those crazy things where he put out the video. Did you watch it? Have you seen it? Okay, it's one of those things where it's like almost his reaction to it gets you more kind of worked up than the actual.
Yeah.
Because it's one of those things. He broke his ankle or lower leg, whatever, altogether. It's one of those things where his leg just got caught and that did it. If his leg didn't get caught, that's one of those things where you'd go tumbling and you'd get up and just be like, "Dang it, I wrecked my bike and now it's scratched up."
Yeah. It's one of those things where like how I went down, I could have shattered my leg.
Yeah.
Like I could have really fucked myself up, and I got away with a little bit of a fracture on my elbow and a little bit of road rash. Like I got away really lucky.
But it's that road rash that can tear you up. So
yeah, that's
gear
a
up, y'all.
Listen, I've preached it for years. I crashed when I was much younger, got a bunch of road rash, and had to get a skin graft on my back. And I will tell you that after very good insurance, it's $1,800 per square centimeter.
Ooh.
Yeah, so your $500, $300 jacket is always worth it.
Absolutely. Anyway, enough of the wrecking. Let's talk about what are the best and maybe worst or bikes we rode this year.
Sure. What's the best bike you rode this year?
And
we did say we can't say any of the bikes we own.
Right, because otherwise, versus move on.
Yep, Super T,
yeah. So this is one. I guess I don't know if it's like the best bike. It was the bike that I was kind of most impressed with, or that I was expecting one thing and it surprised me.
Sure.
The Harley-Davidson Pan America.
Great bike, fantastic bike. I got to ride one at Overland Expo East. Had a great time.
I was at it was at Moto America. They had demo bikes out there, and I thought I need to try this one because I'm not a cruiser guy, but they had the Pan America there, so it's adventure, sport touring. That's kind of that style upright seating. I was like, I got to give it a shot. And yes, the seat is adjustable on the Pan America.
Yeah, contrary to what
I know that's been up for debate. Because the lady that was kind of doing all the demo stuff, which was cool, they just kind of let you take it out on your own. But she came up, she goes, "You're about 6'2", and I was like, "You've done this before." And she goes, "Okay, let me raise the seat up." And I was like, "It is adjustable."
Son of a bitch.
And so it was a good bike. It performed well, you know. And she said, by the way, it really comes alive at 6,750 RPMs. Do what you will with that information.
That is an accurate statement.
The only thing that I if I'm nitpicking on it was it's just that Harley vibe where you could just feel it in the handlebars. And
is it mainly at idle, or did you feel that all the time?
I think at higher speeds and at idle. If I was kind of at that in between, it kind of went away or was less noticeable. Mm-hmm. And it could be me that I'm just so used to kind of the inline four that's just
just
and coming from that to kind of the the big twin. But all in all, I was like, nice bike.
Yeah. Got to spend some time on one this year and was equally impressed. I was like, okay, Harley, okay, I get it now. I get it. For me, favorite bike I rode this year is that Africa Twin again. Like I got off that bike. I'm still talking to Colin at Honda. I want one real bad. Like it is probably the only bike I would sell the Super T to get as a replacement.
Okay. That's a big statement for you.
That's a huge statement for me.
Because you love that Super T.
I do. I really love that Honda. Great technology, super cool. Did 4 days of the first 2 were just hard, getting rained on, almost freezing temperature. Ran into a bunch of snow on the second day, and was comfortable on that bike the whole. I mean, my hands are cold because I didn't have heated. That I was on the one bike of the entire fleet they had They had 2 Africa Twins and a bunch of Transalps, and I got the Africa Twin manual transmission and electronic suspension, non-DCT. Did not have heated grips. Did not have the heated seat. But like, other than that, was like beautifully happy with that bike.
Nice. Well,
It was great.
so what were the other two? What was Amanda on?
Amanda was on a Adventure Sports ES DCT.
Okay. Is that the one that she's been long-term loaning?
It's like the new version of the one she's had a long-term loan, but she has since bought that bike, actually. She now owns that bike. She bought it from Honda.
Well, I know that she had it as like a short-term loan.
Yeah, it was a short-term loan like 3 years ago.
And then it became a long-term loan, and then
it became I'm not giving it back.
It's just hers.
It turned into I'm not giving it back.
And then was Ben on the Transalp?
Ben was on the Transalp, and then he got to spend some time on the DCT Africa Twin. Him and Amanda swapped, I think, on the 3rd or 4th day.
Gotcha.
And nobody really wanted my Africa Twin. I think Ben had wanted it at one point, but he's ridden them a lot before, and I hadn't. And also, like, I rode the Transalp, I think, like one of the first days for like a couple of hours, and like not a fan. I'm too big for that bike. I'm too tall. The windshield wasn't tall enough. Like, I'm just too big for that bike.
Yeah.
Which is fine. It is what it is.
Yeah.
I'm a very big dude. Control Ode, is that the trip you were at with Spite?
Didn't y'all hand off the bikes?
We did. We handed off to Spite and Jess, which is her 2 wheels, and a couple of other people at the end of day 4. So we like all went to dinner and got to hang out for like a day or so. Had a really good time.
That's cool.
That's probably my favorite. I mean, my favorite trip, my favorite video, and the favorite bike I've ridden this year has got to be that Africa Twin. It's probably the only thing that would replace the Super T as of right now.
Nice. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I really, really love that bike.
So, shifting gears, what was the worst one you rode this year?
I have 2.
All right, give us your first one.
The CF Moto CL450. It's the great engine, horribly uncomfortable seat. The handlebars are not, God damn it. Hobbit, pay off your truck, you fuck. Can confirm Patty is massive, which is cute coming from someone who's 3 foot nothing. Julie, that's what she said. You're fucking A right.
Hobbit orbits Patty. So,
yeah, true. True.
Sorry.
But no, you're good. Yeah, the CL450, like, the engine's good. The seat is pretty god awful. The handlebars aren't really wide enough. I think it's a better bike than the equivalent Rebel 3 or 500.
Okay.
Has cool technology in it. Like, is a good looking machine. But I'm big. 3'5". That's what I said. But
you're less Texic.
Yeah, less Texic. Yeah, it's just like not a comfortable bike to ride for a guy of my size, and the seat is absolutely terrible. It has like a metal plate with the nameplate at the back that just digs into your ass.
Do you think that it was just made to a budget, or was it like thrown together to maybe compete with the Kawasaki Eliminator or Rebel?
I think it's built to compete with the Rebel. I think, to be clear, I also think the Rebel's handlebars are too thin, like too skinny. And that's a personal preference thing. Yeah,
well, it's another toy bike.
You know? But like, I liked the CL450 for what it is, which is a small entry-level cruiser.
Sure.
But
you're not entry-level.
I'm not entry-level. And the seat is fucking terrible. Like, I don't know, like, CF Moto, I have a great relationship with them. They're good friends of mine. I don't know who designed that seat, but they need to go back to the drawing board, because, like, putting a metal, like, the ID CL450 base plate, like, at your tailbone is a terrible fucking decision.
So they built it ass backwards.
Oh my god. I'm gonna leave this fucking live show if you don't quit with these terrible jokes. No, to answer your question, I think it's a well-built bike. The seat's terrible. The handlebars are too skinny. That's personal preference. overall for me, that's the my least favorite bike that I rode this year.
So the CL, huh?
Yep.
So for me, the one that maybe I was underwhelmed, and maybe this was because it was a demo bike, but the worst, I guess, for me was the Papio CL.
Really?
Yeah. So I had the opportunity to swing by the demo day, and I was like, I can ride like one bike. I'm gonna hop on the Papio just for funsies. And so I got on there, and the guy who was escorting the ride came up to me. He says, "Hey, you're going to see the shift light come on, but don't shift. Rev it out to like 9,000
Yeah.
before you shift." And I was like, "Is this a standard thing, or is that just because this has been abused all demo season?" But I don't know. I don't know. I didn't like that, like because there was this spot. I was like, once I get it to 9,000, I'm supposed to shift. But if I go to like 9,000.1, it starts to hit the rev limiter and just choke it out or something. I don't know. I was just
I think what they did is they designed that bike as the SS model, which is kind of sporty, which you get the idea of like revving it all the way out makes sense in a sporty.
Yeah.
I think they wanted that feel. But on the CL, I don't know if it's a tuning problem or just it's a 125. So like it is what it is.
Yeah.
Like
it was. So I think the factor that made it my worst this year was just that I was just kind of like, I can't put my finger on it, but it was just.
Yeah, not that it's a bad bike. It's just not as good as you wanted it to be.
And it was probably compounded because I went into it like wanting to like love the little bike. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't there, so it kind of was meh.
Yeah.
So
do you have a second bike that you were disappointed by this year?
I don't think that I do. I mean, typically I'm the type of person like I'm riding a bike and I'm like, I'm on two wheels. This is great. It's like pizza.
Yeah, all right.
Even a bad one is still pretty good. But no,
Sure.
I think it was just the Papio that was just kind of like, meh, okay.
Yeah. So my second one is actually oddly enough, I had so much fun in Barcelona on the Gorilla 450. And I don't know if it's necessarily fair to say that the Gorilla 450 was one of my least favorite bikes this year that I rode. It like is a decent bike. It's a good bike. It's a great little city bike. The 450 engine was pretty okay. I much prefer that to the Triumph 400s. The Gorilla 450 felt like a real bike to me.
Okay.
Like it didn't feel like a toy. It felt like it felt substantial to me. And I don't know if maybe that's the fucking, cast iron steel frame or whatever the hell it is that gave it that weight.
It weighs 800
but
pounds.
Like it had like the seating position was good. The handlebars were at a really good location. Like it had decent enough power. It was a ton of fun to ride. Like I really legitimately enjoyed that bike, but I think the same thing with the CL 450 from CF Moto is that like there's just a lot of things that like I would have done this a little differently, I would have done that a little differently. It's personal preference stuff. And that's not to say that they are bad bikes. They're just I rode a bunch of really, really good bikes this year.
Right. You look in comparison. Yeah.
Like when you look back at it, I was like, fuck, like I can't really think of
You're spoiled a little bit.
Yeah, like I'm spoiled for choice, which is a let's call it it's a first world problem. But that's a motorcycle industry problem. We are now spoiled for choice, which is fantastic.
Great for consumer. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely great. What was your biggest surprise this year? I'll transition us into the next topic here.
Biggest surprise?
Yeah, whether good or bad. What was the thing that kind of threw you off the most this year?
I don't know. There was anything that threw me off a little bit more. Something that was maybe a little disappointing, I guess you could say, was just the whole thing around KTM. Yeah, because I mean, we talked about it before. I'm not necessarily a KTM fan. Like I don't seek them out, but
Sure.
You hate as a motorcyclist, a motorcycle enthusiast. You hate to see a motorcycle company kind of struggle.
Yeah, you don't want to see anybody have a bad time.
Yeah, I mean, you can like one brand over the other, but kind of you don't want to wish ill will on anybody else. because I mean, I think they have some neat looking bikes. Some are ugly as sin too, uh, but they have some neat concepts. But you just hate to see them struggle, especially when they were, got the other brands underneath them and MV and things like that. So that was one of those things that's just kind of like, oh man.
Yeah, like last night I got news from my dad about Textron, which is another. They make Polaris product, like Easy Go golf carts.
Okay.
They make a lot of Arctic Cat. They make a lot of power sports equipment, that like snowmobiles and stuff like that. And they are like they're shutting production down Q1 2025. Like they're like, we're done. Like our power sport, our off-road power sports segment, they're totally shutting it down. They're not even selling it off. They're just quitting, which is wild to me. So it's shitty to see companies like that have to go under. My biggest surprise of the year is, of bikes, whether it's a bike I've ridden or a bike that we got news about or whatever, is that CVO Road Glide ST from Harley at the very beginning, back in February.
Yeah, out in Vegas.
Out in Vegas, riding an 800-pound bike on a racetrack, like hauling absolute ass.
Don't say that around Dutch.
Yeah. Like it was just wild. A very, very interesting experience for sure. And then the next like most surprising thing was the Royal Enfield Himalayan 450. Like fantastic fucking bike.
Yeah,
like
they've made some strides.
That thing is great. Like compared to the old Hemi, like sorry to shit on the old Hemi, it was a fucking turd. But the new Hemi 450, fantastic. Like I jumped that bike. We blasted it. I mean, me and Dork of the Road and just a ton of other people were blasting it through a bunch of mud. Like we were doing 80 miles an hour on back roads, on roads we'd never seen before, jumping it like 40 feet at a time. Like that bike was super surprising. I went into that thinking it was gonna suck because I didn't have the best impression of the Gorilla 450 because it's the same engine, different frame design, but the same engine. I was like, oh, that engine did okay in that bike. They clearly built that 450 engine for the Himalayan. Like it fits, it vibes, it like the whole package comes together on the Hemi 450. So my two biggest surprises this year is how good the CVO Road Glide ST is, even though it is $44,000, and how absolutely fantastic the 450 Hemi is at like $6,000 or whatever they cost.
Yeah,
like, holy shit.
I mean, there was just, as you can see from our whole list, a bunch of kind of impressive bikes.
Yeah, it's been a good year for motorcycles.
Whether it's, new tech or just a refreshed model, things like that. And, we kind of touched on that earlier. The consumer has so many options, but even with all the good things, sometimes there is some more disappointment.
Yeah.
What would be kind of the most disappointed bike of the year?
Well, I mean, KTM.
KTM. Yeah.
KTM. I mean, that whole situation sucks again. But no, like in all seriousness, like the fact that KTM is going through what they're going through is, as we talked about on the last show, is literally their fault. Like,
yeah,
they played stupid games, they won stupid prizes.
Yeah, and there was some updates, since our last show, and the chat's kind of hit on that. They're bringing in like Citigroup to kind of help with the restructure, reorg. Probably also going to try to milk that for some financial backing or something.
They have already yeeted their 60% stake in MV.
So MV's back to being independent, I guess?
Yeah, so essentially what they did, to get real specific about it, is they did not sell MV. They simply relinquished their 60% ownership back to MV. But in turn, MV has to take all of the debt that they owe, and it divorces the debt away from the rest of KTM. MV has shit tons of debt. They will not, at this rate, they will not survive 2025.
So putting MV aside, as far as the KTM and kind of their whole debt thing, that's taking a big chunk of their debt away as far as them getting back on track.
Correct. The idea there is we're not going to get any money. We're not getting any capital out of relinquishing this 60% back to MV. but we are getting rid of a shit ton of debt. So like when you look at your debt to income ratio, like when you're buying a car, buying a house, your income isn't going to change really because fucking MV sells 1,800 bikes a month or a year. Who gives a fuck? That's nothing. But their debt is going to drop a ton. So their capital isn't going to go up, but their debt's going to drop. So in turn, it is still a net positive for KTM.
Right.
Technically, given the situation they're in.
Yeah, and I mean, we kind of joke about them being the most disappointing bike and whatever, but we do kind of.
Yeah.
I mean, we hope the best for them, honestly, that they can. Figure it out and.
Again, like there's people's lives are at stake, their livelihood, their careers. Like KTM has built like their dirt bikes, they're fantastic. They're overpriced, but they're fan-fucking-tastic. Like they are just really, really fucking good at what they do. But I'm not paying $20,000 for a dirt bike. It's just I'll go buy a Civic. It's fine. But
hold on a little bit. You can probably buy them dirt cheap in a year or two.
Listen, it's been considered, but my most disappointing bike of the year is the R1300 GS, the BMW.
Also on the thumbnail.
Yep, I did see that one on the thumbnail. I went back.
So best and worst. That's so funny.
I went back to look. No, I'm not impressed with that bike. I think it's fuck ugly. I think that they have. Like, it is mechanically a good bike. It is fuck ugly. It is so different than everything else that they build. Literally, like, the BMW generations have been great for years because, like, the luggage on an 1150 fits a 1250. Like, they've back supported all sorts of stuff for years. And on the 1300, they were like, fuck you. Like,
oh, they went all Apple on you?
Yeah, they basically went Apple and like, you've got to get our luggage now, blah, 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 blah. Like all this shit. And it's like, and they're still doing that stupid thing where you can't buy a base model. The only way you buy one is with the premium and this other package and this we're at on ad. Cool. So I can't buy a base $23,000 BMW. The cheapest one I could find was like $32,000. And I'm like, it's ridiculous. It's just stupid. I'm not fucking doing that. And they're fuck ugly.
I mean, and this could be a whole nother episode, and maybe someday we'll get into it about
all day
about dealers. Yeah, well, why even advertise the base model?
Yeah. Well, so that's
like if you can't get it.
It's a pain in the ass. And my thing is that's not necessarily a dealer problem. Dealers are ordering those bikes, but the BMW is allocating that's the only ones you can get. You have to special order a base one, and then even then it's a whole thing, and the dealer's not going to want to do it because they don't make any money on it, and blah 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 blah. So
but you know what pisses me off about dealers though is just all the fees,
brother.
Like, am I?
No, you are not alone in this. I will die on that molehill with you. So
now there is a dealer, Southern Honda in Chattanooga. They don't have any fees.
Yep.
So that's good.
I don't think Jim's in Johnson City has any fees either.
I was just about to say Jim's because
I don't think Jim's does. He's a family friend. I love that guy.
Awesome. So so what Jim's does in Johnson City, I stopped by there because I had to go to Tennessee because my sister's father-in-law passed. It's been a rough year. It's been a rough year for that. But I was like, I'm going to stop by this dealer because I got some time to kill.
Yeah.
Poor choice of words.
Oof.
Going to fear. No, but here's what was great is, you have the MSRP of a motorcycle that comes from the OEM.
Mm-hmm.
So you have, Transout, for example, $9,999. What Jim's does is right below that, they say, I think it was freight and prep.
Yep.
Is $687. And then it had a price underneath that of, $10,600.
Yeah, they lay it all out for you.
And then it said plus tax and title. Because
tax is where you're from.
Tax and tag and title, that I get those. But they just laid it out where you're not surprised at what it's going to be. Mm-hmm. And I was like, and I told of course, the salesman comes up and is talking to me, and I had to, of course, tell him, like, I'm not buying, I'm just swinging by. And he was, of course, East Tennessee folk, cool as can be. And
Yeah.
I said, I appreciate how you price this. And I remember the guy just saying, absolutely. It's like, there's no such thing as a damn dock fee.
Yep.
And I just said, anytime I need to go bike shopping, I'm going to look at Jim's too.
He's a good dude.
I'm saying
again,
it.
like a family
So-
friend. I very much recommend them. Triumph Roswell does the same thing. All of their fees, like if you go look at the price on the bike, all of their fees are laid out. You know exactly what you're going to pay.
Good.
Which is great. I think it even has like local tax, so you have an idea of what your tax is going to be.
Sure. Yeah, because I mean, I totally understand that a big ticket item like that has a destination fee or whatever you want to call it, because
Yeah.
it does cost hundreds of dollars to ship a 500, 600 pound thing across the country. Makes sense. But I just was like, just put it together, give me the price there. So anyway,
No, Jim
that's a
does a
whole
great job of
nother
that.
thing.
There's other dealerships in our area that do not do that and that make up fees based on the CCs of the bike, including build and prep, which are already set out by manufacturers on their websites. And those people are shitty, and that's why I don't do business with them anymore. That was a weird jump on your camera there. Did you see that?
I did.
Okay, I'm watching the stream now. See if it does it on the stream.
I might have tapped a wire or something.
Yeah, maybe don't do
Webcam.
that. So the final topic we have, we're running low on time. What's the most disappointing? Yeah, it is on stream. What's the most disappointing news in the motorcycle world outside of the KTM shenanigans from this year for you?
Oh gosh, I don't even know. I don't know that I have one right off, to be honest.
You want me to go and you could stall for some time?
Yes, go while you wait in anticipation for my answer.
That's right. So for me, it's both the FJR 1300 from Yamaha and the Super Tenere 1200 are discontinued going forward, which is super disappointing. I know that Chase recently got to do a first ride on the FJR. I think that video. Oh, there's a spoiler alert. That might be the video that comes out tomorrow. Let me look. I think
You got it here first on Live on Two Wheels.
There you go. 2023 FJR 1300. That drops tomorrow. I have to watch that video when we're done with live to review it, make sure it's all good. That's hilarious. But yeah, that's your first ride for tomorrow. Merry Christmas, everybody. Chase and I both really love that bike. It's fan-fucking-tastic. It hauls absolute ass. It's super comfortable, and they discontinued it because it doesn't sell well. But they also haven't updated it in a decade. But I don't think they could get it to pass Euro 5.
So are they discontinuing it for the US or everywhere?
Everywhere, I believe.
Okay. But you never know if that in a year or two they may
bring it back.
They may do something. It may have a big revision, maybe taking an off year.
Yeah. Who knows?
Similar to that, now that I've stalled, I'm going to go back to an earlier comment, and it may be related to this, but here in the United States, we don't get certain bikes that they get elsewhere. And I think a lot of that has to do with because in the United States, motorcycling is a hobby. And whereas everywhere else in the world, it's still a hobby and a sport, but it is also just it
is a lot of
transportation.
It is most people's main form of transportation.
Right. But I think going back, Berto was saying no Hornet 750, here in the States.
Yep.
And he says, why does Honda hate the U.S.? Well, it's because the U.S. hates those models of Honda and other bikes.
Yeah.
I have to believe that these big companies aren't just like, I don't want to sell the bike here because I hate them. They've got a marketing team, research team.
Yeah, they have team. If they could sell it here, they would. They have to.
Yeah.
If they do the research, does it make enough sense to spend the marketing budget, the shipping budget to bring these bikes to the U.S. that may or may not sell enough to even turn a profit?
Right. And so ultimately, these companies, Honda and whoever else, they are businesses. They need to make money to operate. Because if they just shipped every bike here, like the Hornet and whatever else, and it didn't sell, then they would end up to be like KTM. And we don't want that. So You like how I brought that back around to KTM
Mhm.
again? The big orange. So,
Looped it all the way around.
oh man, what a year! A lot of things happening. A lot of things to look forward to coming up
Yeah.
next year.
Yeah, I'm excited
but
to see what 2025 has to offer. Chase has got baby Leo now. I know you and I are changing a little bit of the show here going forward.
yeah.
Um,
So, kind of a little bit on that. I mean, we've said it a few times. What I want to do with this is to make it more engaging, higher quality, and not just, I don't know, big shows that are too long, especially on the podcast version. I think maybe an hour and a half or even an hour. Podcast can be like, woo. What we may do is go live like once a month, and maybe that'll be hour and a half, 2 hours. But in that, we may have 2 or 3 topics that would be 2 or 3 podcast episodes, and we'll just kind of do that, and then maybe the podcast can grow with more digestible chunks.
Yeah, I feel like a 25 to like 40-minute podcast is really the sweet spot for me.
Yeah. And so
anything longer than that, it's rough.
The other thing I want to do is take the quick shifter out. I mean, there wasn't one today, but what I want to do is the quick shifter is have some news highlights, maybe use that as a short on the channel. And then that can kind of be some ammunition for us to discuss. And then, we just talk about whatever, and then we slice and dice post-production or post-live, and that's our episodes. So going to try some things. We do appreciate everyone who's always stuck with us, our members and you supporters. Y'all are really great. But we do want this to grow so that, honestly, more viewers, more podcast listeners is more revenue for more giveaways, for more fun stuff. Who knows? We get enough members, we'll give away a ruckus. I said it here. Chase probably doesn't know that. His account is still linked to this, so let him know.
What I'm hearing is Chase is buying us a ruckus.
Ah, yes.
That's what I mean, that's all I heard.
Hey, it's not my money right now, so I can sign him up for whatever. But no, legit, we just want to make it kind of more appealing, more broad, and just try to bring more people into the moto community and have a good time with it. So we'll be doing that probably. I mean, we'll probably take January off, kind of just like everyone else, just to kind of recalibrate the new year and come back strong early February. So, but before we get out of here, one thing we always anticipate, just like these motorcycles.
There it is.
My favorite time of the week. Finally time for the ghost tip of the week.
Can't go into the holidays without a good tip, right?
No.
Ghost tip of the week. This is sponsored by Ghost on Two Wheels over on Instagram, of course. Speaking of tips.
All right, ghost tip of the week. This Christmas, consider collecting candy canes. It's easy to keep them in mint condition.
Oh, that one's good.
Yeah.
That one's good. I like that one a lot.
You feel free to use that at your holiday with
will.
family.
I will. Don't you worry.
Are you traveling for holidays?
No, so I've got family Christmas for my mom's side is tomorrow. What day is it? Thursday? Is tomorrow. It's Thursday. We're live. Oh my god. Family Christmas is tomorrow for my mom's side of the family, and then my dad's side of the family all comes in for like a week, starting on Christmas Eve. So.
And are you hosting all them?
No, my dad is. I'm not hosting them here. My house is still not unpacked and is a total shit show. And I have many rooms, including my office / dining room that we're in now, that is unpainted still. So
nice. Yeah, we're
working on it.
We're going to be here for Christmas Day. We like to stay, to our family home on Christmas Day, and then we're going to be doing a circuit of going to North Carolina to see Melissa's family, and then we're going to Tennessee to see my family, and then we're going to rush back home because we both have to go to work on January 2nd.
Gross.
I know, real jobs. So that's why we need more members, so I can. Anyway.
Yeah. We can get old Ghost here on full-time creator mode.
That'd be awesome.
We'll get there one day.
No, it's good. This is a fun outlet. I enjoy doing it. So before we go, anything you got coming up for 2025 moto-wise that you're looking forward to or plan or hope?
You know, 2025 is going to be a really interesting year for me, moto wise. I have some. How do I phrase this? This is not really good news. I wouldn't call it bad news per se. But I have a nerve disorder in my brain space that is progressing in a way that is not great. That may see me hang my helmet up, and not be able to ride a motorcycle anymore. So, that's not going to stop me from enjoying motorcycle content. It's certainly not going to stop me from being on the live show and being able to talk about bikes. But it is one of those things that may or may not happen this year, so I don't know. So I'm going to enjoy riding as much as I can until I'm told I can't anymore.
Yeah. Well, and hopefully there's some steps to take to take care of that too. So
I'm hoping so.
We'll definitely wish the best for that. For
Well,
me,
Chase, tell us something you weren't supposed to.
well, I think you did about the first ride.
Yeah, I was going to say, first ride tomorrow is an FJR 1300.
Listen, if there's nothing else, I realize I still got the tip up on the screen. I got to put my tip away.
Oh, God.
Um,
Get your tip off everybody's screen.
Totally lost my train of thought. Pull it back into the station. All right. Something that I would maybe want to try to do this year, because I feel like it's just out there so much that I need to tackle somehow a little off-road adventure.
Yes.
I don't have a bike for that. I'm not taking my Versus 1000. That's a road bike. I'm not doing that.
Debatable. Listen, just like any machine is a smoke machine if you operate it wrong enough, any bike is an off-road bike if you try hard enough.
Unknowingly, Pat gives you a second tip.
Hey-o.
Y'all got double tipped tonight.
Oh, God.
It's a good thing we're going to take a little break. No, no, admittedly, like I see a lot of this out there and I'm like,
Chase's video.
But I'd have to have another bike, but
darn,
I can't purchase another bike right now, but maybe I don't know. Maybe I can sweet talk Chase and be like, Chase, I know you got a kid, you got to stay at home. Let me take the whatever that company, whatever loaned you, and I'll go out and
the T7
do a thing with.
Ooh, here's a thing I'm not supposed to tell anybody. He's buying that bike.
We'll see y'all next year. Pat just got into big trouble. Now, for real, y'all, thank y'all for all your support all year. Contact us on Discord if you got questions, ideas, anything. We like to hang out there. And again, appreciate y'all's support. Happy holidays. Stay safe.
Year. We'll see y'all fuckers in 2025.
At GAT.